Oh, kia ora koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. Welcome, no mai hara mai. You've joined the final session of Kei Te Mura o Te Ahi, and we have two amazing presenters, speakers for us this afternoon. And this last session, we've had 5 hours of presentations from current and recently graduated postgrad students from all around the motu of Aotearoa, but also from as far-flung places as Belgium and Turtle Island, northern British Columbia. So it's been an incredible day. And this afternoon, our last session is on Kāwanatanga. And we have Sandra de Forge. I had never checked with you, Sandra, about how to say that last name of yours, but Sandra's going to be talking to us about unpacking the referendum on Māori wards. And Sandra comes to us with 16 years strategic planning experience in local and central government environments, and her PhD focused on Māori representation and local government and explored the option of Māori wards to address disparity. And our second speaker is Natalia Lorente, and she's going to talk to us about diversifying leadership within the public service, how the institution will becomes the institutional wall. And Natalia is pursuing her PhD, focusing on the impact of public policies on New Zealand's social cohesion and polarisation. And she is working out of Te Herenga Waka School of Government. And so we welcome both of you for our last session of the day. Before we go in, I just want to bring to everybody's attention our community code. And really our community code is just about creating a space for us all to be safe and have great, comfortable conversations. Particularly, we want to know, you know, that really this is about a community that we're trying to develop, that we can make space, take space, be curious, open and respectful. And yeah, I just want to bring people's attention to that. And so I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to hand over to Sandra and kia ora.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Sandra de Forge tōku ingoa. In this presentation, I talk about the challenges for Māori representation in local government, my recent PhD work on the issue along with key findings, and I close with a challenge for all of us. Until 2021, Māori struggled to obtain representation in local government. Most councillors elected to local government were male, white, and aged between 50 and 60 years. For example, in 2021, it had been 28 years since Tauranga had a Māori councillor. Legislation introduced in the early 2000s enabled councils to establish Māori wards, where those on the Māori electoral roll vote to elect Māori ward councillors. However, the legislation also enabled those opposing Māori wards to use referenda to stop them, and this was widely used. Here is a list of words that mean wall, such as fence, block. To this list, I would add referendum. Because of referenda, until 2021, only 2 out of 24 councils who tried to set up Māori wards were successful. For example, soon after Tauranga City Council voted to establish Māori wards, a petition was underway to call for a referenda against them. One councillor said, "I don't think Tauranga is ready for a Māori ward because there are a lot of older locals that still carry a lot of," not racist because that's not the word, but a lot of ignorance. My anger on the way referenda were being used to stop Māori wards motivated my recent PhD research that focuses on Māori representation and ways to decolonise local government. My methods included analysis of media articles, interviews, and participant observations. My research used a Te Ara Tika approach, which integrates Te Tiriti o Waitangi and Indigenous values with core Western ethical principles in a unique Aotearoa-based research framework suitable for tau iwi to use. Surprisingly, soon after starting my PhD, in February 2021, the new Labour government changed the legislation and removed the clauses enabling referenda on Māori wards. This caused much angst in some quarters and celebration in others. For example, Don Brash said, "What the referenda show is overwhelmingly most New Zealanders do not want separate Māori wards." However, Andrew Judd said, "We've tweaked legislation to suit our white supremacist system right to the point of being able to petition the Māori voice should a council try to put in a seat for Māori." In Tauranga, this councillor called the law change fascist and an abuse of power. In contrast, another councillor said, "I think Māori are still facing a lot of backlash when really what they're getting is breadcrumbs." There was a strong polarising of views on this issue. Some said Māori wards undermine democracy. However, I found that Kimlicka in 1995 argued that in a democracy, in order to achieve true equity, sometimes differential treatment was needed to address unequal outcomes, and Māori wards would be one of those. My research showed strong support from elected members for Māori to be represented in local government. And Māori representatives I interviewed used these words, "tēnā whakahirahira," which meant it's super important and incredibly important. It always was. Why wouldn't it be? This collage provides a snapshot of media articles around the referenda legislation. My research shows support for referenda relates to the politics of belonging that requires the maintenance of structures and systems by hegemonic powers to exclude what they perceive does not belong. Some commentators say that any system that treats one person or group differently from another is unfair. This fails to recognise that the governmental institutions in Aotearoa are based on the British Westminster system, which reflects the values and culture of the majority Pākehā population. Media excerpts showed that some people can't understand why Māori may have different local government needs to anyone else. In reply to that statement, someone said, "People like Don Brash think we're all the same. That's like saying a seagull is the same as a kiwi because it's a bird." Some interviewees stressed the challenges for non-Māori elected members to represent Māori views. One said, "They don't know what the culture is unless they were born into it or they've got Māori kids. They'd be going to the marae, see how it works. And that's why it's so important for us to be at the decision-making table." Other media excerpts question why the non-Māori majority decides on an issue that involves only Māori. Andrew Judd said, "What I observe, how it must be to be Māori, how must it feel to observe your community demanding a poll to have a binding referendum to decide whether you are worthy or not to have an elected voice at the table." Since changes to the legislation in 2021, 35 councils established Māori wards for the 2022 local body elections. My research shows that unless the system is changed, Māori wards are the only way in the current system to ensure dedicated representation from Māori in local government. Sadly, the new government's coalition agreement includes the statement to restore the right for local referendum on the establishment or ongoing use of Māori wards, including requiring a referendum on any wards that were established for the 2022 local body elections. My challenge to us all is, can we work together to stop that war being reinstated, the referendum clause from being rebuilt? Thank you. Ngā mihi nui.
Kia ora, Sandra. Thank you so much. Great challenge. We need to add that challenge to the many, many challenges that are facing us under this new coalition government, but definitely a fight that is worth having. So well done, and thank you so much for sharing your research and that investigation into such an important part of local democracy, and really that whole that getting rid of that majoritarian dominance. So thank you, Sandra. And we're now going to go to Natalia, and it's interesting, both of you are, talking about the institutional will or walls or blocks or, anyone would think we'd planned that. So, kia ora, over to you.
Kia ora, thank you so much. Ko Mexico toku whenua, ko Natalia toku ingoa, ko te noho au ki Poneki. Kia ora, everybody. My name is Natalia Albert. I'm a Mexican-born New Zealand citizen, and I'm going to share a couple of the highlights of my findings of my master's thesis in political science that investigated diversifying leadership within the public service, and I named it How the Institutional Will Becomes the Institutional Wall, based on Ahmed's research. So, New Zealand is going to transform substantially in the next 10 years, and to address these demographic changes, the government has said that they want to diversify leadership in order to represent the communities they serve better. However, 90% of their leadership is New Zealand Pakeha, and some statistics there. So this is an example of my hypothesis of what was happening, especially in that tier where managers go into general managers, where the diversity falls, where you have a brown body that's overqualified that doesn't get the role, and a white body that's underqualified but gets the role on the basis of confidence. So this illustration talks about the will, the institutional will that the government does at the beginning, which is the D&I policies, the bias training, that inclusive language, that they want to welcome you, that initial love bombing that they give you all the time about them wanting you, and all these things they've done to showcase that. That's the institutional will. Then the institutional wall shows up the second you call existing structures into question. And so this is what my thesis focused on, and this is where my findings, I think, are more interesting and most relevant. And these are really good illustrations to highlight both of those things. This is a real world example. So this is a slide from the Women of Color Employee-Led Network community that they posted on LinkedIn, and they talk about lack of good leadership, non-inclusive practices, the advocacy gaps, structural inclusion, the isolation they feel, and the tokenism they feel by being a brown body in the public service. So my aim and motivation for my thesis was to shift the burden of proof from the victim to the institution. So my experiment was, if we ask the New Zealand government to prove it doesn't discriminate, could it prove that? In the same way that we ask the victims currently to prove that they are being discriminated against, I wanted to know, if we ask the government, could they meet the threshold? The answer is no. So what did I do to ask this question and to do my experiment? I surveyed 23 government agencies with a 17-question OIA, and I got 50 emails in response with over 100 attachments, 400 answers to the Official Information Act that included 1,500 pages of government documents that I analyzed in vivo. Those documents include these really shiny, glossy, professional, incredible documents about diversity and inclusion strategies, diversity and inclusion in a nutshell, inclusion and diversity and why you need to do it. Thousands, literally pages of this stuff from the 23 government agencies that I surveyed on this. So very public, very shiny. So what did I find? That our discrimination tactics have shifted to more sophisticated and visible ways of discriminating within these institutions that's creating that wall. The internal complaint process is ineffective and it's used against victims of discrimination, and that government muddles the waters between its role in a bicultural and multicultural framework, doing both of them poorly. So what this looks like is I found formal enablers. So all these glossy policies, the legislation, it's embedded, there's authority, there's mandate for them, but there's informal barriers that compete, right? So the informal barriers is what I'll talk about in the next couple of slides in a bit more detail. It's concepts of super surveillance, infantilization, and burden of doubt. So the two most surprising questions in my 17-question survey were, how do you know you are not discriminating? Most of them, 99% of the institutions came back saying, because we don't have any formal complaints. And then the other question was, how do you know your senior public servants are not discriminating? And 95% of the institutions came back saying, because it says it in our code of conduct. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next slides. There's a massive confusion with Titiritio Waitangi and diversity and inclusion. It's a huge topic and I don't have time to get into it, but that was massive. They're all very confused, and it's very confused and muddled within the policies and the language. They use it in competing ways, in complementary ways, in additional ways, and canceling each other ways. It's nauseating. Then we have this new legal and invisible way of discrimination. That is what I want to describe and what I want to bring to this kaupapa today, which is the only thing I have time for, which is these three concepts: super surveillance, infantilization, and victimization. And my call to you is, when you spot this, or if you're doing this, stop and call it out and understand that it's a new form of discrimination. So super surveillance is when we as brown bodies must be crystal clear, perfect in our jobs. If we are not, our imperfections will be amplified and picked at in a way that it wouldn't be for white bodies. So this, and they're all kind of tied together. So this is like the over surveillance on these brown bodies to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Then victimization, and it's my fucking worst thing, and it happens so much and I hate it. It's victimization. So when you're blamed as the victim for raising the issue that's causing you to be the victim, it's this institutional gaslighting that's awful. So you're raising discrimination complaints, and all of a sudden your lack of resilience, your lack of competence comes into question. And infantilization, also one of my favorites, when you're treated like a child, right? This white savior patronizing bullshit where people come to you and they're like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. Let me know if you need anything. I'm here to help you. And they treat you like a child because they don't think you're competent enough to perform those roles. So one concept that stood out for me in my research that I wanted to share with you all today was the idea of institutional betrayal. It's when institutions and their policies fail to take adequate action to protect employees from discrimination, and when institutions retaliate against the victim who was wanting to use the policy for what it was intended, which I think is just a really powerful notion and what the New Zealand government does most of the times. So I had a lot of recommendations and kind of findings, but to summarize some key practical ones, it's reviewing the effectiveness of the Speak Up framework. So saying that you don't discriminate because you don't have formal complaints doesn't mean that you're not discriminating. It means that your process of internal complaints doesn't work. And the second one is use race and power in your policies. I couldn't find that language in any of the documents. And involving the input from employee-led networks and the diverse workforce on the development of these policies. There was no engagement in any of these policies from the diverse workforce. It was all done by normal public servants. Ngā mihi nui, kia koutou katoa. This was very fast. I hope any of that made sense. And there's my email if you want to ask questions or talk to me about this. I can talk about it all day.
Wow. Wow. Both of you, incredible. And I just love how the last two speakers for our session have really called us into action and reminding us about taking action. Because I don't know if you can see my shirt, but you know, anti-racism is a verb. And if we have inspired people to do something, take some action as a result of today, then, you know, that's absolutely worth it. Thank you so much, Natalia. The great thing about these 7 minutes is that they're a taster, and hopefully people will be able to go and see some of more of the resources and, you know, engage with others. If something has particularly interested you, I really encourage you to do that. We've got people's bios and on the main event page, so really encourage people to do that. And just finally, Natalia, so much parallels in what you were talking about in my study, so I'm keen to have further conversations.
Yeah,
and the what I thought was really interesting was both of you, both Sandra and Natalia, is about examining the system. What is the system, and particularly the kāwanatanga, what is the system doing, as opposed to victim blaming or focusing on the other. Yes, so great, beautiful, beautiful kōrero. Right, so we are now heading into our breakout rooms, and just as a little reminder to everybody, so this is the unique part of our time is that when we go into the breakout rooms, you're able to have your video enabled and your audio enabled, so you can actually interact with people. It's not just in chat, and we've got myself and Ange who are doing that moderation. So just another little reminder to people about the community code, and making sure that we're just, you know, having respectful conversations and being mindful of our contribution in relation to other contributions, and particularly if there's a few people in the room, just giving everybody an opportunity to have a kōrero. So down the bottom of your page, you'll either see a 4 little squares with breakout rooms on it that you can click, and sometimes my view had 3 little dots and then more, and if you click into that, that should also take you to the breakout rooms. So yeah, we've got 15 minutes in there, so go, and I really strongly encourage you all to join a room and have some further conversation. See you back here soon. Kia ora. Hopefully you're seeing on screen now the big ngā mihi nui. Thank you to our partners. There has been, I get to do the final closing of today's session, and I love doing this because you always get to do the bits about saying thank you to everybody, and we would never have been able to run this session without all of these amazing partners. So I'm really happy to be a part of STIR, Stop Institutional Racism, and also Network Waitangi Whangarei, and special kōrero and shout out to all my Network Waitangi mates who I dragged into helping moderate sessions for us today. So we have actually, Network Waitangi Whangarei has got State of the Pākehā Nation is coming up at 2 o'clock. And Max Harris is our keynote speaker, and you can still, if you message me, I might be able to send you the link, but otherwise Network Waitangi Whangarei, Network Waitangi WHG@gmail.com, and we'll send you the link to the webinar that's happening at 2 with Max Harris. I'll put that in the chat actually, otherwise won't work for people. And I do have, I'll just do that, because then I've got a list of people I want to make sure I say kia ora to. So today's session has been, it's called Kei Te Mura o Te Ahi, and that name was gifted to us when, for our first time, we ran this session in 2022, and Leah Bain, who is a member of STIR, and gave us that name with the idea that, you know, we hold our feet to the fire, or holding ourselves to account, to be challenged, to be uncomfortable. And the focus is on either current or very recently graduated postgrad students, with this idea that it's the emerging scholars and the emerging thinking that is going to stretch us, that is going to make us consider new things and get uncomfortable. And we absolutely have done that today, and I'm so thankful to all of our 18 speakers that we've had today. It's been incredible. So Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. It is not an accident that today we are presenting to you on International Race Relations Day. Today is a day of action, and it's a day for us to all think about what we can do to eradicate racism. Big thank you to all the moderators, to all the chairs, to all the people who have been behind the scenes in Te Tiriti-based futures. Wow, so many amazing people doing so much amazing work over 10 days of an incredible conference. And I really especially also want to mihi to acknowledge Ray Harwood, who and Josh Kaufman, who have been joining us from the other side of the world. Like literally, Ray is joining us from Phoenix, Arizona, and Josh is joining us from Pittsburgh. And they have done all the behind the scenes setup for this day, and I have no idea what time it is in your part of the world, but it's not our time. So just really, really want to thank you too so much, because we wouldn't have been able to do this day without you, and it's made it just happen. And so just thank you so much. And yeah, that's really it from me. I want to close with we opened with karakia, and I'm going to close with karakia, and this is a particularly powerful kōrero, I think, to karakia, to think about what we've done today. So I'll just, close for us, everybody. Whakamaua te kōrero, whakamaua te wānanga, whakamaua kia ranginui e tū iho nei, whakamaua kia papatua nuku e takoto ake nei, whakatina ki te tumu o te māramatanga, kia tina, tina, hoie, huie, tākie. Affirm these discussions, affirm these learnings, affirm them before Ranginui above, affirm them before Papatuanuku below. Bind these utterances to the pillar of understanding, bind it firm, let us be one. We have united in conscious thought. Okay, kia ora everybody.